everybody, John here. This video happened because I wanted to buy a new 12-string acoustic. Now, I learned a lot in the process and I thought that I could share my findings. Over the years, I've owned quite a few 12-string acoustic guitars. I've also had this electric that was custom made for me since the mid-90s, and it's a gem. All the acoustic ones, though, were not gems. They were kind of like big fat 2x4s, full-size dreadnoughts and that. So yeah, that's why I never kept any of them, because I just basically could barely play them. And that's something you might have already discovered yourself, but that's what this video is all about. Anyhow, I found myself lately playing a lot of songs that I wanted to have the 12-string on, and actually a couple of my originals as well. And so I was using this electric, but it's just not the right sound. So I thought I'd go shopping for a new 12-string acoustic again, and I wasn't really looking forward to it, but you know, I figured with today's technology and building guitars, I think there gotta be something out there that I want. Kind of the deal is that I figured out in my old age, I've got arthritis in my fingers and my shoulders. I love playing electric guitars. They're comfortable, they're small, they're, well, kind of light. And so I just couldn't play a dreadnought anymore at all. And so I went shopping for a guitar, and I found this little Epiphone. What the heck is it called here? An L00. And this is it. It is the size of this guitar, the scale length, and the width at the nut, and I believe they say this is a C-shaped neck. So, using those specs, that's how I went shopping online, because there's no music stores in my town that carry stuff like this. And I just went on a mission to see what the specs were of all those different 12-string acoustic guitars. So I looked up the specs on my Epiphone, and it had a 42 millimeter nut, and it as well had a 24.7 scale length, and then the body of it was exactly what this 12-string here is, what they call the concert size. So that is what I found. The only difference is the nut, of course, because it's a 12-string, is just a little bit wider. It's actually, I believe, 44 millimeters, but the scale length is almost identical, and the body is actually identical. And it's wonderful. So, yeah, it is a Fender Villager. This is a guitar, has a huge history. I didn't know much about it. I kind of, when I saw it, I was like, oh, I remember those hockey stick headstocks, and they've actually made it smaller. If you look at the old original ones, I think they go back to 1965 or something. You can look the history up and all that wonderful stuff, but this, of course, is made in Indonesia. It's not made in California, but it's the California series of guitars, and it's just perfect. I got it out of the box, and I was a little nervous. I have actually, truthfully, never ordered a guitar online. Well, I got it from Tom Lee Music. I don't know which store it came from. You just go on their website. They're a Canadian retailer. Might even just be Western Canada. And there were only 4 of these left in BC. I got lucky. And it needs a few little setup tweaks just yet. It's got the typical, because of our dry climate here, the frets are just a little bit. I'm not even noticing it, but I will dress the frets down a little bit. The action is actually just a hair low, so it kind of just on the edge of buzzing there, so I think if I just back off the truss rod, but other than that, it is as easy to play as my Epiphone. I spent hours on this thing, and it's plugged in right now, but I have no processing on it. That is exactly what this sounds like. The preamp is pretty cool because watch this. That's when I push this button. So there's all kinds of kind of tone shaping that this thing has. I got to read the manual and figure it out, right? And the other good news was a lot of the better ones I looked at, like Guilds and whatnot, Taylors, whoa. Yeah, they were well over $1,000. This was $709 Canadian. So I believe that works out to like 500 US. I'm not sure right now. Our dollar's worth a lot less. So didn't need to buy a Dreadnought. So I'm ready to hit the road, and I'm really looking forward to recording with this thing because plugged in, it's like all way better than my electric, I guess you could say. And, you know, I only tuned it up. And this is important too because 12 strings are a nightmare to tune. You got all those extra strings, but I tuned it up after I got it out of the box. It came and it was down like almost 3 whole steps. And I've had 12 strings, so I know what I'm doing. You got to, of course, go through the whole thing and then go through it again, because as you tighten those strings, you started on the bottom. By the time you get to the top, the bottom's going to be flat again. I did that, and I honestly haven't picked up the tuner since. Maybe it's not perfect, but I'm just trying to see how far it would go. And this is the secret ingredient to why these are successful. And if you think about 12 strings, just pause for a minute. Haven't you noticed how everybody you see playing usually is playing with a capo on? Because what used to happen was you tuned those big 25.5-inch scale length dreadnoughts up to full pitch. The tension was like a lot. So that's why you would often break like the little G string here, because this is actually, I think, an 8-gauge string on here, and it's just torqued. It's an octave higher. So think about a E string and taking that E string and then, you're tuning it up to G. So anyhow, the short scale length as it is makes it so that gets rid of that tension. So you don't need to detune this guitar, even though you could. So, and that's what also makes it easier to press the strings, because there's less tension. It feels like a guitar that's been tuned down to D. And that's about the long and short of it. So that is the other thing. Putting a big wide neck. Go look at the specs. I'm not kidding. What you will find, even Taylors, all of them, they are 48 millimeter wide necks. Okay, that doesn't sound like a big difference from 44, but if you play Telecasters, Stratocasters, and on, they are all 42. So we get used to 42, and that's it. And then the other thing is the thickness, and this is just shy of 4 inches, I do believe, and so that is what makes a big difference too to how the guitar sits on your lap. It's not sticking way out there. I don't know what the fattest guitar would be, but I believe the ones that they call jumbos, then they're huge. It's this from here to here is where you would measure it, and the length I don't think matters as much. So anyhow, I just thought it would be worthwhile to share what I learned because this was sort of a new experience. I'd never dug that deep into why I hated so many 12-string guitars. And now I know. And it actually applies to even if you buy a 6-string acoustic. Pay attention to those specs and see if you can find a short scale guitar. If you're having trouble playing a full-size Dreadnought acoustic and we're going to plug it in, I'm plugging it in. I'm not interested in, guitars that sound awesome unplugged, I can't afford. Okay, this is a solid spruce top and it's I don't know what the back is. I guess it's mahogany of some kind, some jungle wood. And it's not bad, unplugged. Let's see. Can I turn it down here? There. That's what it sounds like with the thing turned off. Little twangy, a little pick noise in there too because of the dumb old condenser mic I'm using to shoot this video. Much better when it's plugged in. Why wouldn't you want to plug in? And there's another thing. Often these under the saddle pickup systems are imbalanced where, it'll go loud, loud, quiet, quiet, loud, loud, or whatever. And this one right out of the box, just like my Epiphone, it's working perfectly. It's perfectly balanced. It's a little Fishman something. And here's another thing to look for too, because I've learned over time, I really hate it when they put that huge, big black plastic thing with a tuner. The tuner always sucks anyhow, and you never can use them. They're not accurate enough. And I really like the fact it's kind of like Taylor's. Taylor's do this as well, where you just got the little knobs. My Epiphone, it's just inside. There's two little volume controls in there. Bummer is, though, the battery is up here, up against the neck. So to change the battery, you're changing your strings, right? So that's what you got to do. Every time you change the strings, it's probably time for a new battery because you're going to probably wear them both out. Well, I'll find out. I owned one acoustic guitar once where a battery barely made it through 2 gigs. And it was inside like that. I don't own that guitar anymore, do I? So, okay, I think this one's a keeper. The Fender Villager. There you go, folks. And as always, I hope you found this interesting, informative, and thanks for watching.